are very experienced, practice a lot together. I had a chance to talk with NV yesterday, and he's also got the Murloc Paladin, which I've been playing a ton of recently.
Yeah, you love that Finja, don't you?
I definitely do, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see the bans now, and the respect ban on the Freeze Mage there from Navioot. One of the sort of weird made from a couple of players, and it punishes all of these control decks. And if we look at MV's lineup, there's Rogue, and then there's the Murloc Paladin, Reno Lark, and Reno Priest. So Freeze Mage would have pretty much got a win versus any of those decks, I feel. So really good ban there from MV.
And also another thing that's super smart about this pick from Navi. Navi expected Envy to ban his Freeze Mage, because Navi actually went ahead and banned Envy's Rogue, which is usually a great matchup for Freeze Mage. But with that deck, with Navioot pretty much considering that deck to be, banned away, he looks at the rest of his lineup against that Rogue deck and decides to ban it. So definitely some smart bans here for both players looking at the lists.
Yep, and we are into game one now, and it is going to be Navioot on his Jade Druid and Envy onto this Murloc Paladin. And this is a bit of a strange matchup. I've honestly not seen or played this too much. I've played a lot of Jade Druid recently, but not really played too many Murloc Paladins. And I feel like with the Paladin, it's generally who gets there first, right? Because the Paladin has the ability to clear a board no matter how big it is and how big the Jades are. But that doesn't matter if they just play more Jades again, and then they just win. They run out of removal. But obviously, the Druid doesn't really have much defense against anything combo, so it's going to be very, very close.
I've played this matchup a lot over the past couple days, and I feel like it's pretty heavily Paladin favored.
Okay.
You can be super patient with your board clears, because the Druid will always not want to extend into board clears unless it's super late game and they get to the point where they have like Gadget Sand and infinite Jade cycle.
Yeah.
But by that time, Paladin also has a ton of card draw, so they will also have had their combo. And Druids don't really have a good way to deal with Tyrion either. They don't have hard removal for Ragnaros Lightlord. Aldar Peacekeepers can also buy you time against like some of the big Jades that are early on in the matchup. And also, you can time Doomsayers for a turn where your opponent's going to try and develop big stuff. So like holding on to Doomsayer to key turns.
And there's a lot of 6-drops in this Jade Druid deck as well.
Or, dropping it, doing a board clear and then dropping it on turn 7. So you're effectively playing Ragnaros, Lightlord, or Tyrion on an empty board is like almost game over, because the Druid can't really come back from that position.
Yeah, and more importantly, woo-hoo. There's the Jade Spirit onto the board. Navioot using all of his hand this turn, and he's going to be hunting for a Nourish to be able to recycle. And here's a Doomsayer pretty early, but as you said, you don't really have to be greedy when your opponent's got no cards. But Azure Drake is a fantastic pickup. Not for this turn at the moment, of course, as in they run out of breath there, but actually just to at least help cycle next turn.
Yeah, but this is also going to draw Envy 2 cards for 1 mana.
I've heard that's a pretty reasonable ratio of card draw to mana usage.
Yeah.
And already the Murlocs are coming out. 2 Bluegills, which are going to be nice as almost spot removal for, both of them can actually just kill off the Azure Drake next turn if he really wants to.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for Envy that he draws into the Bluegill Warriors before he draws into Finja, because a lot of times, one of the ways that you win is by pulling the Murlocs out of your deck with Finja, and that way you're sort of thinning your deck faster than you would should you have drawn your Murlocs first. But
yeah, and we saw that from MV in the first series of the day that he played. He just kept Finja in his opening hand. He could have mulliganed it away, and he's just like, nope, like this is how I win this game. Kept it, and it did the work and pulled out the Murlocs from the deck. Navioot now, curving into some of the bigger guys. He has the Wrath to cycle as well if he really needs it. We're getting the Jade Behemoth down and starting to really get these Jade Golems on the board. I feel like once they get past 4 or 5, they start becoming like real threats for the opponent.
So 2 ways to clear here. 2 ways to get to the board. He can just Wild Pyromancer in Consecration and then run over the Jade Behemoth with the Murloc War Leader. That uses 2 combo activators without using combo, so it could be risky. He could just, trade into the Jade Behemoth and then just like hero power with the Murloc War Leader plus Bluegill, and play it a little bit slower. But this way he actually keeps both of his Murlocs alive, so this is you know, a pretty heads-up play from Envy. Also keeps minions on the board, which forces Navi into a situation where he, you know, has to play a little bit more heads-up with his plays.
Yeah, and what do you think about this, actually, going for the Azure Drake Wrath to cycle instead of putting Gadget Zan out? Because he would have still had one, he would have only had 1 mana spare for Gadget Zan, so I suppose it's not really enough guaranteed value at least.
Does he play 1 or 2 Gadget Zans?
1, I believe.
Well, if he plays 1, then it's definitely the right play.
Yeah.
If he plays 2, it's debatable, because the first one you can be used to, you know, just try and get a little bit further into your deck. But if you play 1, you definitely, especially in a control match, want to wait to the point where you can sort of get those infinite Jades.
Yep. Even though we can't quite hear it, I know for a fact in the room next to us where all the other players and viewers are, everyone's woohooing at this point.
Yep.
Always guaranteed. That's a pretty cool Jade Spirit there. What a great intro noise. And looks like MV is actually getting pressured a little bit here, and Ragnar's Lightlord is definitely going to help and require an answer. But with Feral Rage and Living Roots in hand with the spell damage as well, he's got a pretty easy answer at this point.
Yeah,
and he can take the damage.
Now it's time to go for Gadget because you guarantee at least 2 spells, and you also have 2 mana left over after those spells are cast, plus 2 draws. So
and the second Living Roots means that you can actually just trade the Jade Spirit in to Rag instead of using one of the bigger guys. So this is looking really, really good for Navioot here. Applying on the pressure, dealing with Rag Lightlord very easily. And next turn he has the possibility of Fandral into Nourish as well.
Yeah. But it will meet an equality almost for sure going into the next turn.
And this is the power turn though, because the equality clear is going to happen, and then you just play Fandral Nourish, and you kind of just put your opponent in like just sort of the same position again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
True Silver. I mean, there's plenty of True Silver targets on the board, but there are 3 of them. You can only attack once with that weapon.
I think. I think Wild Pyromancer equality plus equip True Silver Champion would have been maybe even a little bit better.
There's no weapon removal.
There's no weapon removal in the deck, and also you open up an opportunity to play anything. Even though he hasn't played all his Murlocs, he's still missing 1 War Leader. Anything can still be used to clear off a little bit of a board, and he also would have had a weapon to do so.
And as well as on top of that, if he plays the anything next turn and then draws the second one the turn after, well, you just win a lot of the time at at that point, unless some big Feral Rages come out.
Yeah. So Navi's version of the deck might be a little bit more, a little bit better against the Murloc Paladin, just because it runs Ancient of War as well. Mm-hmm. Which some druids don't necessarily have. It's just a big taunt that they have to get through at some point. But I don't think Envy's out of this one by any means. Ivory Knight can pick up a 3rd Anyfin, and since his Murlocs are already bluegill weighted, if you pick up a 3rd Anyfin, sometimes it's better to even not play the War Leader. Because if you have 3 Anyfins and you only have three War Leaders that die throughout the course of the game,
yeah, then it's fine.
Guarantee the good combo of 3 War Leader, 4 Bluegill. Yeah. But Finja ruins that.
Yeah, and this is kind of rough as well, because the True Silver Champion doesn't actually even clear up Fandral, and you've just seen you nourish into more cards, which means more Fandral combinations and buff effects. So this is kind of rough actually.
So with Finja played in a game, and all Murlocs died. So a Finja dying, 2 War Leaders dying, and 2 Bluegills dying. The effective value of a second Anyfin, so the average amount of damage that a second Anyfin can happen deals is 19 damage. A little over 19 damage. Yeah. So effectively round down is 19 damage. So you can get like the full combo, which is, no Anyfin, no Finjas, and like 3 War Leaders, 5 Bluegill, or 2 War Leaders, or 3 War Leaders, 4 Bluegill, or 2 War Leaders, 5 Bluegill. But the average damage is 19. So if you're in a situation where you're trying to figure out what your chances are, if you need to deal over 19 damage, it's like a little over a 50-50. And the higher damage threshold you get, the less likely that becomes.
Yeah, it's kind of rough actually. And one of the drawbacks of Finja anyway into the deck, because if you play it in this position, you have that problem. Whereas normally it's a lot higher. So I guess getting it from the third anything from an Ivory Knight just sort of seals the deal, as long as you're not dead. Because the benefit here for MV is that at least there aren't massive Jades on the board yet, right? That's the shining light at the end of this tunnel for MV here.
Yeah, but one thing that the combo that this deck does do is it also can pressure even without the Anyfins. It's got 2 4 damage weapons, which can start chipping in damage. It also has Tyrion, which a 15 damage Ashbringer over 3 turns can help you get there. But Envy is going to really struggle with clearing all of these big minions, and he's only going to pull 1 War Leader from this, but he's thinning his deck quite a bit.
Here's a question.
Sure.
So when Finja attacks and kills something, right?
Yeah.
Summons a War Leader. The buff happens before Finja dies, right? So it can live.
It can live, yeah.
Based on the buff from the War Leader.
There died because it would have died anyway, even with the buff.
Yeah,
because it was a 10
but
damage.
If it would have lived with the extra
Finja
health,
will live.
it lives, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually kind of powerful. Like,
yeah.
If it just died guaranteed, still good. But the fact that it can actually live if it just kills off, a bit of a high attack minion is kind of crazy.
It is really crazy. Look at all this power from Navi. Having double War plus double Jade Behemoth and double Feral Rage actually makes this matchup much better. I don't think that was his intention. I think Ancient of War against faster decks in general is usually better.
Yep.
But having it in this matchup is just sort of unintentionally good for him.
Yeah, and I love this play. You were saying that look at all the options Navioot has. Getting Aya down and then cycling these Jades. Aya generates 2 of them, and then you play the Jade Idol for a 3rd. Then you have Behemoth, and suddenly, as we can see, this board is extremely scary, and he's seen both equalities, but also MV just draws into Adric the Pure. We saw this in the first series of the day, didn't get really any value, didn't get to play it, he didn't need it. But now, this is going to help. But do you try and be greedy and wait 1 turn?
Well, he can...
He can trade with the War Leader into the Aya and then play Adric, so all 3 golems are small attack. Ooh, okay.
That was a really interesting trade.
Yeah.
Onto the 3/3. I guess it's okay. But what he should definitely leave the Aya up, if anything. He's thinking about trading the 5/5, which I like.
He has to trade or he dies for a fight, and you've got to expect at least some form of burst, not seeing swipes or anything from hand. Although you see 2 living roots, there's still only 8 damage available from hand, 9 with hero power. So it's not going to be quite enough, but it is very, very close. And now it's kind of like a stalemate at this point, because Navioot can set up lethal and just ignore the board. If he just, puts up a taunt, uses the Feral Rage. But if there's a second anything, then that's going to be too dangerous. But also, NV has to think, like, well, these Jades are getting bigger, and if Navioot goes for the setup lethal, it's obvious that you have it next turn.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is pretty tough now. Pretty tough.
Is, like, Jade Behemoth swipe on a War Leader and then trade into the other War Leader ever good enough?
I think that's the only way he
It's like the
has.
safe. It's like the safe play, right?
Yeah.
You don't go all in with this play, and this is relatively safe. You can still clear off the 1/1. Yeah, I really like this. Because also, this is still generating a massive J golems that will just end the game for you anyway, especially combined with Swipe and Feral Rage.
So now Envy's in an awkward position, because now there's 18 damage on the board, and he's at 15 health.
Adric might have something to say about that too.
Yeah, but do you want to go with Adric this early in the game, knowing that your opponent, could have a bunch of other potential idols? I think he's got to lay on hands here and try and find second anything as soon as possible. And there it is. So now we have the full... He's even healing more. So 15, 18... He'd be dead to 5 damage, so he'd be dead to second swipe, but he's dead anyway.
Yeah, he's kind of like identifying the fact that I need to play this anything next turn, and I need to win with it, and that's just going to be the game, right? So the Forbidden Healing is never going to get played past that point, regardless. So he may as well take the extra healing. How much damage has he got? He's lethal anyway, yeah.
Lethal, yeah. So Navioot just takes the matchup regardless. After a pretty rough start for him, he chained powerful draw after powerful draw
I think
in the mid-game.
he got like a Azure Drake, then he had the Phantom Nourish as well, so that was exactly what he needed. The second you whiff for 1 to 2 turns max. Well, look how close this game was, right? 1 turn backwards for Navi, and he loses.
Yeah.
So he got pretty fortunate there and cashed in on it as well. I think, yeah, with the cards he had available to him, he played very well. And MV, extremely close. Not too bad at all.
Yeah.
I think not getting completely wrecked in your first game is going to feel good. Like, that was a reasonably close game. And there's plenty more to come in this matchup.
Yeah, the Abyssus Murloc Paladin, I think a few of them, or maybe even all of them, brought Murloc Paladin. It's been drawing bans a lot of the tournament just because people don't know how to deal with it. And, again, that was like 1 turn away from Envy being able to potentially swing. Now, there's the potential with Murloc Paladin to get the 2 Finja, 4 War Leader, 1 Blue Kill.
Yeah, which is
10 damage. That's why you have to, find the average, which is the 19, but you also have the maximum of 32 damage. And you also have the potential for 30 damage.
And, that's the trade-off for the sheer acceleration that Finja provides, right? You can actually do it so much faster because it draws the Murlocs for you. Because a lot of the Murloc Paladin games, your 2 War Leaders at the bottom of the deck. So then, you just don't win because of that. Whereas Finja at least guarantees the Murlocs to come out early. And speaking of Finja, it appears into the hand.
And sometimes having even if you get 4 War Leader, 1 Blue Gill, 2 Finjas, a lot of times when you play anything, you're not necessarily dead the next turn.
Yeah, and then the board's
so having a board full
anyway.
of strong Murlocs actually can sometimes be even more beneficial. Well, not more beneficial than killing your opponent, but it's better than not. So it's still like a very powerful combo.
Yeah, and now Navioot is on his aggro shaman, and he does run the Jade package as well, so he has the Jade Lightning.
Does he have Flame Wreath faceless?
He does, yeah.
Okay.
So this it's a real biggie, that one, because that's the one that's going to enable you to speed up the race if there's no Aldor Peacekeeper or pull out an equality. But already, Navioot not doing too bad, putting MV onto 20 by turn 3. There is going to be True Silver come out now to clear up the Flame Tongue and reduce a lot of this damage down, but Navi off to at least a reasonable start here.
Yeah, so he also had the option to coin while Pyromancer equality.
I think I like that though, because he can now just Pyro equality next turn if loads more stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Lightning Bolt. Navi just saying, hey, if he heals up to full, or the Murlocs come out and reduce this board down, I'm going to lose anyway. So I'm just going all in, putting as much damage as possible. We'll probably go for Hunter Hero Power if it's an option here. There we go. Because a lot of the time in the aggro matchups, the hero power is actually, it's very important to really think about which one you need. But in this one where you're literally going all in, the Hunter is the highest damage per turn you can provide.
Yep. And Jade Lightning drawn, so that's not going to really help him now. 4 damage for 4 mana is pretty good though.
He's 1 mana away from Ivory Knight. You can heal for 2, kill off this this deckhand, so you just take 0 damage effectively. Sticks at 8. There's 4 in hand. I don't think there's anything Navioot can draw this turn that wins him the game, right?
No, not quite, because even Lava Burst, he wouldn't be able to fit in, so.
I mean, this is still putting your opponent to 2. And this is going to be an Ivory Knight that is simply a snap pick of whatever the highest cost spell is, because this is not one where you mess about with something cheap.
This is when you hope for not 3 secrets.
God. Only 5. It's not. Ooh, okay,
that's not enough. That's
he's got hit on the hero power,
of
course. 5 is not enough. He needed at least 6. We see the power of Finja, but it won't matter at all. Navioot just saying from the get-go, this is how I win this game. I go all in straight away. If he stabilizes, I lose anyway, and it was enough. And Navioot, a quick nod of the head there, like, yep, okay.
Yeah.
2-0, we can do this. And is the curse of TJ's 3-0 casted matches going to continue in this tournament?
I casted the only 3-0 yesterday. I casted the only 3-0 today. I don't know. For some reason, when I cast, people just want to win a lot faster.
Maybe they don't like you casting TJ and they're like...
Or maybe they like it so much that they want to win so fast that they can watch me after their match.
Go cycle straight through.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can't stand...
Nice recovery.
They can't stand being away from me so long that they have to win their match so quickly.
This is shaky logic at best, my friend.
Speak for yourself. But now Navioot has has 3 opportunities to win with Reno Lock. And so he should be in a great position because he's going up against Murloc Paladin, a Reno Mirror, and then a Reno Priest.
Yeah, and especially Navioot's Reno Luck is one of the greedier lists in this tournament. He is not like the all-in anti-aggro Reno list that we've seen quite commonly, actually, especially on ladder.
Yeah.
He's actually playing like Ragnaros. He's playing Sylvanas as well, which is actually sometimes Sylvanas is actually cut if you want to go all in against their aggro deck. So he's playing the slower, greedier list. So I think he's very well positioned to just steal a win at some point in this series.
Yep. So what's really interesting here is something that you don't often see with Murloc Paladin, but really shows Envy's proficiency with the deck is he threw away all of his Murlocs in his opening hand. He had Bluegill War Leader, which in most matchups, you're like, I'm keeping.
Yeah.
In this matchup, you don't necessarily want that because you don't really want to play Murlocs on an empty board. You'd rather just keep hero powering, and you'd rather look for Doomsayer, you'd rather look for Loot Hoarder, and you'd rather look for Eldar Peacekeeper because those are the way you win the matchup. Because the way you lose the matchup is by your Arena Lock opponent playing a Mountain Giant or a Twilight Drake that you can't deal with, and you're sitting there playing a 3/3 on 3 or a 2/1 charge on 2. So I definitely like the way Envy's played this, and having played this matchup many times, I can tell you that I think I've only lost Arena Lock once.
Wow, okay.
And so I don't know if Envy's as good as me at Reno Lock, at Murloc Paladin.
It's a big ask.
No. I'm sure he's good. But I don't know if my opponents are necessarily as good as Navi or play as greedy decks as Navi because my experience is from ladder, whereas this is a tournament game. So don't take that too literally, but I do think that this matchup is Murloc Paladin favored.
Yeah, I think the benefit as well, you know, just go and rewind it a little bit, just back to the point about throwing the Murlocs away, because he threw them away and got Finger, which is like perfect, because at least then you have the Finger down. There's not a lot of Warlock minions you can kill off, but there is a few. You know, some of the early drops, he's still going to play Peddlers, for example, and maybe Mistress of Mixtures and stuff like that can help. So, you know, at least if you're going to throw them away, the one you want to draw is Finger for later on.
Finger and 1 War Leader. Because, and another thing is something that Envy did earlier, another cool little interaction is you always want to, if you have Finger in your hand, you always want to save the War Leader. That's why we saw Envy, even in a match earlier against an Aggro Shaman on turn 3, instead of playing War Leader to contest the board, he hero powered. Because the best way to combo with Finja is to play it on 5 and then War Leader on 6 to make it stronger to trade into stuff and also make the Murlocs that you pull out stronger. So Envy has definitely shown you know, high understanding of this deck.
Yeah, and exactly to this point, I am pretty sure he didn't kill the Farseer because he wants to hit into the Twilight Guardian, the Twilight Drake, sorry, and then play the War Leader and get the kill with the Finger.
And then he's also guaranteed to clear onto the Twilight Drake because regardless of what combination of 2 Murlocs he pulls out of his deck, if it's second War Leader, then the second Bluegill could trade into the Twilight Drake. And then if it's second War Leader, or if it's two Bluegills, then he can just trade both in. So
because he's already got the War Leader in hand.
The only thing that would punish him is if nope, there's nothing.
Well, there would have been a Fellfire Potion.
Fellfire Potion this turn.
Yeah, this turn is the only thing that would have stopped it happen. But
you're not really going to use that to kill one Finja.
Well, there might be consideration if you think Finja's going to pull out more Murlocs. All right, TJ.
Maybe Navi understands that, you know, denying the Finja is the most important thing that you could do in this matchup, which actually might be the case.
It depends how experienced he is in the matchup, right? Yeah. I honestly haven't played against this Paladin, this like Finja Paladin, too often, but maybe not having reducing the chance of this big swing turn is the best way to do it. But it is difficult when you have like the minion advantage on board, right? You don't want to just wipe your own board here.
Mm-hmm. So now it's a little tougher because the Twilight Drake is out of range of anything unless he pulls out both Bluegills.
Is it? No, with the attack with the weapon.
With the attack, but that's attack through the weapon, in which case he would take 3 extra damage, he'd go down to 10, and he'd leave 2 damage on the board.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Leroy Power kills you. Leroy Power of a Woman kills you. So it's a little bit risky. We'll see what he pulls out. So he's got 2 Bluegills and 1 War Leader in his deck.
Oh, well, what's cool is he can trade, then Equality, and then just kill off the thing anyway.
Yeah, he could, but the Equality combo is like really high value in this matchup. Like,
So would you like a coin consecrate here then to not take the damage? I think the weapons feels fine. He would need literally like Leroy and an additional damage to finish this game this early on. Yeah.
Yeah, the odds of him having Leroy PO when he's been halfway through his deck is like, you know, a little under.
And also, it's not exactly like you keep it in your mulligan, right? Like, you know, that's like end game. You need everything else first to build up to that. So I don't mind it because this is like the one risky play for the big payoff. If he doesn't kill you, you're looking really good.
Oh yeah, because he's got an anyfin in his hand, and if you can get to the point where you're playing anyfins, you're usually in a good spot.
Yeah, now even the Abyssal Enforcer, a card I actually really like, one of my favorites from the new set, as well as helping clear up most of the board. 3 damage to face.
Yeah, one thing is, Envy is not throwing any of his heals.
Yeah,
he's got Forbidden Healing in the deck. He's got Ivory Knight in the deck. He's got Rag Lightlord in the deck. He's also got, you know, second True Silver Champion is a way to heal. So I think that Navi really understands how to play this matchup because he played very aggressively early on.
And Navi's got Hellfire as well, so that's an additional 3 just from hand. You know, that's really unstoppable at this point. So looking pretty reasonable.
So
what do you like here? How good? I was gonna say, how good is trying to just get the Shambler out this turn combined with a minion?
I think Sylvanas. No, you can't play Sylvanas.
Yeah,
well,
Sylvanas feels bad because you can't clear off the Pyro.
Yeah.
So trade second Consecrate field. You want Sylvanas to always steal, right?
Not necessarily, because there's really not much that you'd want to steal. Because you can't. Stealing Murlocs does nothing.
I just think at this point, because Navioot is trying to push the damage, you just play as much stuff onto the board as possible, and then just hope it doesn't get cleared, and then you can finish them with like a minion and Hellfire at this point.
Tyrion is literally the only thing that you'd like want to steal effectively.
Rag Lightlord.
Even Rag Lightlord, like it, you know, it's not necessarily the
highest.
Forever. It's not necessarily the highest priority, and that's going to be like one of your only siphon targets. Because usually you don't want to siphon Tyrion. So I actually like this here because it proactively challenges Tyrion if you were to play it. And like I said, that Tyrion is the only thing that you want to steal.
Quality on a single minion, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Doomsayer, I mean, you feeling Draxus, TJ? 3 to face, why not? It avoids the Doomsayer, and you're at 13 anyway, right? You don't have any heal.
Yeah, and
so he's gonna go for Siphon.
You know exactly how much damage the first. It's gonna deal 12 damage. The first anything can happen.
And if they're casting anything, they ain't healing.
Yeah.
So you know maybe the 1 turn away, like the 9 mana turn for the Paladin is risky because he can heal then anything.
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't mind Draxus because from that point. You're generating the 6/6s, then you've got the Shambler to combine with them.
But if your opponent has healing, you basically lose the game. Because at any point, if they draw both anythins, you lose.
Yeah.
Draxus is really risky.
That's the case anyway, though, right?
Not necessarily, because if you can force that, he already saw an equality. If you can force him to use both equalities, and then you taunt up, the second anyfin, the maximum amount of damage that they can do is 32.
True.
And if you
just
hold
put like a big taunt like Mountain Giant in the way.
Yeah, or if you like and you're able to clear afterwards, you know, sometimes you can win. So it's a little bit risky.
And then the Ivory Knight into the third.
Or like if they equip second True Silver and use the first anything, you're dead from Draxus. So I just like the heal here. It doesn't heal up all the way, but
oh, and there's Reno. That's a pretty good draw. Can go all the way up to full. And then be very, very free with his cards now. And the twisting going to help up, clear up air. More than likely, the second anything, you don't really want to use it on the first.
Yeah, Rag actually probably changes his matchup quite a bit because it's going to have to draw a quality combo. Because most of the time, you can just like Aldor a threat and buy yourself time.
Yeah, and forget about it really until you need to equality combo other things.
Would Rag be cool if its damage that it dealt was equal to its attack? Oh,
Rag would be bad.
Only 1 blue girl's died.
Oh yeah, because he summoned Wally the blue girl, right, with Finja?
Then why would he use the combo now? Now his
now he only has
and he hasn't used his Ivory Knight, so he still has a chance for a third. But it also will weigh his anyfins more heavily into more like World Eater. So
he can even like Hellfire Demon Wrath here.
Yeah.
And then he just has Twisting Nether for the second one.
Maybe he felt like he had to, but I probably would have just loot hoarded and hero powered and then said go.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Warlock's board. Although he is on 30 health, Navioot only has an Imp Gang Boss and an Imp. It's like, you can take this damage for a while, I feel. And Demon Wrath, oh wow, the golden animation for that's actually pretty sick. Demon Wrath and Hellfire is going to really help him clear this up.
Maybe he thought he'd played both bluegills so far.
Oh, he can't clear the Finger. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the War Leader health interactions are really weird.
Yeah.
Like, it really, you need a lot of experience playing with those cards to understand exactly how those bad boys work.
This Villager Young Priest is Blood Imp.
Finger summons a Murloc whether it dies or not, right?
Yeah, as long as it kills a minion. Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, did you want to do that and just give him the second Murloc?
Do what?
Play the Peddler. I mean, I guess he has to play something, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, here's a minion that you can guaranteed kill and gain your last Murloc, which then it will effectively make the second anything stronger.
I think like developing the board tension is even more important. Okay. But I don't know. It might be. It might make the difference if like anything would have been his last card or something.
Yeah, I mean, like the matchup just feels like on a constant knife's edge, right? Yeah. There's something you don't see every day. A 1-mana Shadow Flame, a 1-damage Shadow Flame.
So second Anyfin. The Anyfin, like I said, he's
got everything, right? He's got how many War Leaders?
He's 4 War Leaders have died, 2 Finges have died,
3 Bluegills,
and only 3 Bluegills. Yeah. So the average damage is his maximum damage is now 4 War Leaders, 3 Bluegills, which is 24. Yeah. That's his maximum damage.
Oh my god, I would do it. I love it. He's going for it.
Nope, didn't get it.
I didn't get it. Only 16, and now the scary thing is with Twisted Nether, this is going to be a tough one. But he's got 2 Ivory Knights.
But each of those Ivory Knights only has like an 11-point-something% chance to get. That's less than a 25% chance to win the game. Effectively, is what he did. He could have gone for second Ivory Knight there and try and waited a little bit to go for the second Anyfin.
I mean, okay, so obviously there's still the Leroy combo in the deck somewhere for Navi, right? But we can see that Envy has time. And because the Ivory Knights are going to heal him anyway, like, even if he doesn't draw anything with his first Ivory Knight, he can probably heal to a reasonable health total so he doesn't die. And then he's got 2 goes at it. So Envy is still in with a chance.
But now his average damage with a third Anyfin is actually less because now he's had 6 War Leaders die. Yeah. No, are we on 6 War Leaders die, but Finges? Still only 3 Finges.
Oh, 3, yeah.
Oh, no, 4, because he had, because
the normal Finger died, and then he summoned it back, then 2 Finges were there, right?
And only 5 Bluegill.
Yeah.
So he is...
Murloc math.
Yeah. And literally last turn, he had 1 outcome out of, I don't even know how many potential, quite a few potential outcomes that would win him the game, because the only outcome that would win him the game would be 4 War Leaders, 3 Bluegills, which would be all of his War Leaders and all of his Bluegills. So that's it.
And they still couldn't put it back together again.
Yeah. And so it doesn't pick it up from the first one.
So, I mean, so how do you feel about this, right? So, is Envy all in on this Ivory Knight getting anything?
Yes.
Like, because is there any way to win if not? He still has Tyrion.
He has Tyrion. There it is!
Oh, okay. Get him! And even the Conk clearing this board up completely.
So let me do some math real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about life. Mainly Hearthstone.
He has a chance to summon 0 Bluegills. There is a chance that he summons 0 Bluegills.
But if he does that, how does Navioot clear that board?
He
can't.
He can't.
If he summons all War Leaders, and the minions are gonna be huge.
There's also a chance that he summons 5, or there's been 4 Finges that have died, that he summons 4 Finges, 2 War Leaders, and 1 Bluegill, which is also not enough damage to kill him. That's only 6 damage. There's also a chance that he summons 3 Finges, 3 War Leaders, and 1 Bluegill, which is still only 8 damage, which still doesn't kill him.
There are many, many outlooks on this, anything that can happen, but there's also reasonable chances he just kills him.
Yeah. Navi would have needed to tap into Emperor this turn.
Also as well, the Ivory Knight cannot kill itself, which means that that's taken up a spot for a Murloc.
Navi has his hand over the concede button.
Here we go. He actually does.
Yeah, the Ivernet can't kill itself.
Yeah,
so now there's actually
less damage.
I think it's like, I'm going to just go ahead and do the math here and say
he needs 6.
I'm going to do the math here and say that it's 50-50.
Good work. Like every game of Hearthstone, it's 50-50. You win or you lose.
I think you just hit him in the face and then wait, because I think you increase your odds of winning by a lot
if you don't have
if you do it on an empty board.
Oh, wow. Okay, Envy. This is really, really showing Envy's knowledge of this deck, because a lot of people would just go anything, fingers crossed, hope for the best.
Yeah.
And, Navioot has the 20 damage combo, but not the reduction. Does have Doomguard to combo with that little tiny Knight of Evil. Ragnaros is going to put a clock on.
Okay, so now Navi wins the game if Envy doesn't, because he's got 12 damage from hand and 4 on the board.
It's going to be 16.
Okay.
Yeah, that was enough. He needed pretty much one bluegill on the board to win this game. A very tense game. TJ's head is on the desk. That was kind of crazy. A lot of outcomes. Everything changed throughout that single game, and I feel like we've just cast one whole series in one single game.
So had Envy not summoned any bluegills with the third Anyfin, which was a possibility, there was multiple outcomes that summoned 0 bluegills. Navi wins the game because he had 4 damage on board, and Leroy faceless in hand, which is 12, and Envy was at 16, so we would have had exact lethal.
Wow.
So and Navi still had a chance in that match, despite the 3 Anyfins, which is crazy. Love that matchup. But now we're going to go into another matchup that I love, which is the Reno Lock Mirror.
Yeah, this is extremely tough. I feel like, you want to put your opponent in the reactionary position all the time. As like playing one of the keys or one of the frustrations is when your opponent gets off a Bran into Kazakus, because then they have so much late game power. The mass polymorph AoE onto the board is backbreaking in this matchup, because you have such powerful singular minions and you can build such a powerful board that if that gets wiped once, you are in huge trouble. And then if you know they have a second Kazakus spell as well, you can just die as well from burst. 8 damage to face.
One thing about this matchup also is that Navi has been wrecking the mirror matchup so far throughout this tournament, because his list is probably one of the greedier lists that you'll see in Reno Warlock mirrors. He's got Ragnaros, and he also has Fellfire Potion. So he has 1 extra board clear, and he also has 1 extra threat. And usually this matchup ends up coming down to one of those like threat for threat battles.
Yep.
I was watching his off-stream match against Gogong Singh. It was Navi versus Gogong Singh, which is an off-stream lower bracket match, and it came down to a Game 5 Reno Warlock mirror. And they went to fatigue. And basically, like, the fact that Navi's was slightly greedier, he ended up winning in fatigue with Fellfire Potion dealing the lethal damage, which was like crazy. You know, if he didn't have that little bit of extra damage, Gogong Singh would have won. So it's sort of crazy how, you know, that little difference can
You're literally like 1 to 2 card changes in a deck change everything.
Yeah.
And also, you know, speaking of differences, this Bran onto the Twilight Drake for Navioot, I mean, that is pretty much immortal at this point. You know, orcs generally aren't running silence at the moment. There's the odd Spellbreaker here and there, but I don't think the Spellbreaker's in any of these 2 decks. So this 417 is just never going to die. So it's like an infinite resource at this point. It almost is. It's crazy.
It's kind of funny because it looks like he's going to coin Fellfire Potion and attack into the
and it still won't die.
And it's still going to be at
7, right? No, 8.
8 health.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a 4-8 after a 5 damage AoE and a 4 damage attack. Oh, Bran.
There's the option for Navi to go for a little bit of a slower play and like tap Imp Gang Boss and try and kill stuff off. But Fellfire Potion can sometimes be tough to use in this matchup. You usually want to use it early to try and solidify board position rather than use it late, because a lot of times later in the game you risk dying to combo if you deal 5 damage to yourself. Envy goes ahead, and as long as you have 1 piece of the combo...
This is going to be nice. He can trade Coil and play Mountain Giant still. The Coil will cycle and bring it back down to 5. This is just ultimate tempo from Navi so far in this game, and these are 2 huge threats that even...
I know this play's okay if he's expecting Ragnaros to come down on turn 7. Because he'll be giving Rag 2 really good targets as opposed to Like
I
one
guess.
good target and one okay target.
I just think like he has. Well, I suppose he's only just drawing to. He drew into powerful arming, right?
Yeah.
So
Also,
I just think like that's just you could just kill him next time.
yeah. Also, tapping is incredibly important
Yeah.
in the mirror matchup as well because you need the resources.
Oh, Reno. Okay, Reno's gonna make this more comfortable for Navioot here.
Yeah. He was thinking about going for the Sylvanas power overwhelming, but Rag wouldn't shoot. I don't think.
Yeah. He does.
When he'd stolen it, so it would just be sort of like a swing, and it would be going in a twisting nether turn, so he would have used 2 highly valuable resources that would have, most likely been countered.
Especially when he's so close to just killing him with power overwhelming as well. Like he can literally just finish the game next turn if he just gets the PO attack in.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see. I imagine we are gonna see a Shadow Flame come out potentially. Oh no, he's got the 5 mana for the spell. Never mind. Freeze 2 minions. I think we have to look at here.
Freeze 2 minions, especially since he's that low.
5 damage isn't enough to kill the Twilight Guardian, Twilight Drake.
He probably would want to go for 5 damage, just because. Okay, so we did see he picked the freeze minions and some 2 friendly minions that died this game.
Yeah, I like that.
Because Rag has died.
We're gonna see the Fire Lord. Yeah. Oh no. Okay.
But Emperor Thorson is still big because.
Wow, double reduction on this hand.
So now his maximum potential damage, he could Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Defender of Argus, and Hellfire.
14 damage.
Yeah, 14 damage.
That's so good. No, that old Leroy PO Defender of Argus for the +1 combo that we all know and love.
Yeah.
That's kind of great. Oh, hang on. Can you do... No,
You can't fit an Abyssal,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't do more.
So...
You can coil a minion.
Yeah.
For an extra 1 board damage. for that, just for the flashiness.
Yeah. Navi also draws into Power Overwhelming himself, so now he's got 2 pieces, but he doesn't have Emperor discount himself. So, what's the best?
And we see the power of Kazakus, right? The game was over if he couldn't freeze or get armor in that game, or heal or taunt somehow. So Kazakus really doing some work, and might be enough to hold on for NV here, but. Navioot also just has an absolute absurd amount of threats, whereas MV has kind of like the answers, but none of the answers feel quite good enough.
So he's got 14, so he's 2 off. If he can't tap into Faceless.
You know what you could do, TJ? You could Bran into Leroy into Mind Control tech to steal a dragon.
To steal 1 whelp!
You could! It's definitely something to consider, right?
Yeah, because
and then Hellfire anyway.
Yeah, because the double Mind Control tech wouldn't go off
with
the brand because it does the check for minions
Yeah.
after the first battle cry.
It would look funny though, which is sometimes more important.
Yeah, but this is still a powerful play.
Bran Defender of Argus feels so good. Especially when it's reduced to 2 mana. Like 2 mana plus what? Plus 4 damage? It's kind of nuts. Or plus 4 stats, should I say.
So it looks like this is going to have to be a tap plus Reno. And Navi is in a very rough situation. He does not have Shadow Flame, and he also doesn't have Twisting Nether anymore.
How much damage? So we see there, MV, like, when you're in this kind of matchup where, as you said early on, playing around like almost like 20 health a lot of the time is very, very hard to do. You count damage every single turn. Yep. Especially when there are minions on the board, you have any kind of burst from hand. You need to be on point at all times and do what you need to do to just edge them across. Like, even maybe now, there could be a trade and then use the Abyssal Enforcer just to push 3 to face.
Yeah.
You know, just push an extra 3, put them in an awkward health total. You've just seen Reno, so I would really like that.
Yeah. I mean, that turn alone, he had 25 damage available with the board plus his hand.
Well, I mean, I really like Abyssal Enforcer there.
But he's at 8. He's at 8.
It's fine.
Oh, he's going for the 1 and 3.
Yeah, you do it at this point. I think you do, right? You don't have any way to clear the
Alright,
minions.
let's see.
One.
Oh,
Navioot,
man.
Pray. Here we go. And it stands in it. Oh, okay. Kills Bran. Okay.
Alright, and how much damage is that?
It's enough. Yep. With the 5 from the mind control. It's 15.
Wait, no.
18. Oh. Oh, hang on. Was it enough?
That wasn't lethal, no.
15, so it was 18. And what was he on? 21?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was not lethal. That was 14 from hand and 5 on the board. That was 19 damage.
Oh, he's laughing to himself. MV's like, got him. The threat concede going out there for Na'Vi. Wow, MV is actually just giggling to himself because he's like, I didn't even. He thought he had faceless. He thought he had faceless. 100%.
No, I think he was gonna Shadow Flame.
Oh really? Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense to clear off the rag.
Because he'd already been through. I don't know. That was just a misplay from both of them.
So everyone who's watching, no one tell Navioot that he conceded
as soon
when
as
he
this
hadn't
match
lost.
is over, win or lose, I'm telling Navi, he did not have lethal. All right, this is a lesson to everybody out there in the crowd and at home. Don't concede until they deal the final point of damage. As tilted as you are. Oh, man.
Woo. Okay. So MB managed to claw his way back, and I've had I've maybe sounded like a bit harsh about this priest deck from MV. Obviously he's got this far, so it's doing the work. But he has a lot of cool combos in the deck because it isn't Dragon Priest. It isn't Dragon Reno.
Yeah.
It's just like Priest Reno. And he has a lot of awesome combos. But I've seen a few times in a few of his games that you just can't piece them together because he's playing Reno. You know, like he's only running one-offs everything. The combos are awesome when they work, like Shadow Word Horror and Pint-Sized Potion. It's like so sick.
Yeah.
But you need to draw them out of a singular, like a Highlander 30-card deck, and Priest struggles with draw anyway.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting to note is a lot of times what Reno Priest struggles with is finishing off Warlock because they can, usually go threat for threat. Sometimes they can remove. But either they can't finish off their opponent or they can't deal with Jiraxis. And Envy has a few tools that might allow him to kill Navi in the late game with, the Velen.
He has Velen, Embrace the Shadows, Soul Priest, and then he has like Flash Heal. He has the Alchemist as well to do like sort of damage from hand.
He has Justicar, Raza the Chained, Velen's Flash Heal, and Embrace the Shadow. So even with no Emperor reductions, if Raz has been played and if Justicar has been played, if he Velen's, Embrace the Shadows, Flash Heals, and he uses his free hero power, that's 18 damage.
Yeah, that's just...
So that's enough to kill, Reno Warlocks from high health total, and it's also a way for them to deal with Jiraxis.
Yeah, and the benefit as well is in this matchup, you normally need to do that sort of stuff, right? But also, as the priest, you have time to draw these pieces, as opposed to some of the other matchups we've seen MV play, where they're more mid-range or aggressive decks. You just can't draw any of all the cards together at the same point. But Reno, you've normally got the time, so we could see this work out very, very well for NV here.
Yeah. But again, as you mentioned, he's got to piece together all that without dying.
That's the trick.
Yeah, so far, out of that combo that I mentioned, the 18 damage combo, he has
Flash Heal.
Well, he has Flash Heal, but he also has the Justicar. Because you need the Justicar and the Raz of the Chain to have
the free hero power. Yeah.
Now, if you don't have Justicar, it can still be 14 damage, but it's not nearly as much.
I like the 6 damage to all minions here. I like just another Twisting Nether almost.
Yeah.
Not that MV's Priest particularly is heavy board presence, but the minions it does have are kind of chunky, right? We can see the Cabal in hand, the Azure Drake, even the Alchemist as a 4/5, Raza as a 5/5. There's a lot of big chunky guys there.
Yeah. Navi knows the deck, so he actually thought about picking 10 armor. I think he went with the Demon.
Demon's pretty nice, actually. But yeah, the
summon 8/8 Demon, summon 3 friendly minions, deal 6 damage to all minions, and give your minions 6 health. So 2 very powerful and very situational tools, and they're both very different is the thing. One is super proactive, where you're just building a board from nothing, and one is very reactive, where you're clearing a board and developing your own.
TJ, I want to see Pint-Sized into Cabal to steal the Emperor. You hit some pretty key cards, especially with Embrace the Shadows now.
He's also got Raz of the Chained, so now the only thing he's missing is Velen's for the 18 damage.
Yep. Oh, I would love to see the steal on the Emperor now. I think that would be a very strong turn. You only leave the Ooze, your board is huge.
Is there anything for 2 mana that he could fit in now that these pieces are... Oh, no, he wouldn't have 2 mana. Oh, yeah, he would, because Flash would be free, and Embrace Shadows would be 1. So we'd have Velen's...
He'd have
1 mana spell,
float.
so we'd have 2 mana left.
Oh, he's doing it! Woo! Okay. Love
Very
it.
nicely done.
Absolutely love it. And these are the combos. This is when you can see why a player like MB has brought this deck. This is when it is shining. Look at this reduction. Even cards like Entomb, Azure Drake, all cheaper is huge.
Yeah.
Navi just a shaking head like, what just happened? How did he steal my Emperor?
Yeah. They happened simultaneously. So it gave the Acidic Swampu 6 health and also dealt 6 damage to it. So now it's still a 3-2.
After all that,
Yeah.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like Navi is...
Oh, Blood Mage could fit in. So that would be 12 damage.
No,
it doesn't, because
it's
yeah,
not reduced.
Yeah. No. So if he picks it, no, because it doesn't affect Flash Heal because it's a heal effect. Or
Yeah.
does it? No, it does affect it.
No, yeah, it does, because it's used as damage.
It's damage.
If it's used aggressively, it
So
affects it.
now his combo is 20 damage.
Fancy.
Felons, Embrace the Shadows, Flash Heal, free
No,
here.
you can't play the Thanos. He only has 1 mana spare, doesn't he?
No, 2, because
7,
Embrace
8.
the Shadows is 1, Flash Heal is 3.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh,
That's lethal! That's
Has he just got it? He's doing the maths. He's counting on the old fingers.
That's
and
it.
Holy cheese! You guessed it. You said from beginning you can
Felons,
actually
Embrace
just
the
kill him.
Shadows.
He is
That's
locking
it.
it in, and Navioot cannot believe it. And there is a smile afterwards. The only time this will be played, Spells Aiming Face, is when your opponent takes you down, and this is frankly a huge amount of damage.
And that's
There we
3
go.
over lethal. He pieced together the combo and
Wow.
won. And now, I mean, I want to know what would happen if Navi hadn't conceded in the last Reno game.
Yeah, that would have been...
That's crazy.
That is actually crazy. It's just, I mean, stunned. That is not the ending to a game we would expect, but as we said, that is exactly why, we can